Hey, this is Dr. Barry, and for the next few minutes, let's talk about visceral fat. You may have been told by your doctor that you've got too much visceral fat, or you may have just looked in the mirror and figured it out yourself. Visceral fat is the fat that's inside your belly, inside of your liver and pancreas and other internal organs, and fat that surrounds your internal organs. Now, you may hate all of your fat, but visceral fat is particularly dangerous. It increases your risk of lots of bad things happening to your health. Now, if you go see your doctor or your dietitian, or you read mainstream news or watch videos, you hear the following advice: regular physical activity, aerobic, resistance training, yeah, and that will help a tiny bit, but that's not going to help nearly enough. You want to get rid of all your visceral fat. The mainstream advice is not going to help. It's maybe going to get rid of 5 or 10%. Number one is to eat a balanced diet. First of all, what does that even mean? Eat a diet rich in whole foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. Most of the things listed here will actually tend to increase the amount of visceral fat that you have inside of your belly and worsen your health. So many people have tried this. Millions of people have tried this, and it didn't help their visceral fat at all. Number two, increase fiber intake. Now, this is a biggie. You're going to be told this by anybody, but is this really true? Consuming soluble fiber helps reduce visceral fat. So soluble fiber does not increase your satiety or your how long you stay full. You're going to be hungry right after you eat soluble fiber, and also improves gut health. The nebulous microbiome somehow magically needs soluble fiber. You've probably tried this and it didn't help. Manage stress, number three. First of all, what the hell does that even mean? How do you manage your terrible boss or your unloving spouse? How do you manage that? It'd be great. Try meditation and yoga. Like, you've got time for yoga classes, and that's going to get rid of your visceral fat. Like, this advice is so useless. It's beyond useless. It's actually negative useful. It's just crazy. Number four, adequate sleep. Well, of course, we all should try to get the best sleep we can. But is there any meaningful research that shows that if you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, that your visceral fat goes away? No. And number five, limit alcohol consumption. This is really the only one on the list that actually might help. So if you're drinking a lot of alcohol and you cut your alcohol intake by 70 or 80%, that's probably going to help you lose some visceral fat. Now, how about you and I talk about how to get rid of all your visceral fat? And this worked for me. I used to have lots of visceral fat, and it's worked for millions of people around the world. So number one, eliminate all ultra-processed foods. I know there's been a lot of news stories lately about, maybe some ultra-processed foods are good for you, depending on the ingredients. No, anytime you grind up wheat, rice, oats, corn, and mix it with a little sugar and some vegetable seed oils, that's going to make your visceral fat worse. It's going to make you hungry again in an hour. You're going to eat more total food. You're going to eat more junk, and it's going to make it worse. So step one, get rid of all the ultra-processed food. If something comes in a cardboard box or a plastic container and has a long list of ingredients, that's ultra-processed food. That is not real human food. Stop eating that immediately. Number two, stop drinking any sugar at all, whether it's sugar in your coffee, your tea, whether it's soft drinks, or whether it's fruit juice. When you drink sugar, when you drink carbohydrates, that absolutely is going to keep your visceral fat high and actually add more visceral fat. Stopping that, just doing number one and number two alone, is going to make a noticeable difference in your visceral fat. Number three, stop drinking all alcohol. Okay? When you were a teenager, maybe you needed a drink because you were shy or whatever, but you're an adult now. If you're using alcohol to deal with social or family situations, that's entirely inappropriate. You need to learn how to deal with stuff better than having a drink. Alcohol goes straight to visceral fat. You got to stop that completely. Number four, reduce your total carbohydrate intake. Now, absolutely get rid of all the ultra-processed carbs, But even high carb vegetables and fruits, if you want to get rid of your visceral fat as quickly as possible, you need to stop those at least for now. Number 5, get rid of all the vegetable seed oils. Canola oil, soybean, peanut, sunflower, safflower. None of these oils are going to help you get rid of your visceral fat. You need to replace them with animal fats like butter and beef tallow and bacon grease, lard. You need to make that permanent for the rest of your life. Number 6, eat mostly fatty meat, egg yolks, and seafood. And you may be going, wait, I'm trying to get rid of fat. All those things are very high in fat. Yes, eating fat doesn't make visceral fat. Eating and drinking carbohydrates makes visceral fat. The more ultra-processed the carbs, the more visceral fat they're going to make you hold. Eat more fatty red meat, eat more egg yolks, and eat more seafood. That's going to help get rid of visceral fat. Next is engage in vigorous exercise. And now I put this down at number 7 because until you do steps 1 through 6 and do those for a few weeks, you're not going to feel like exercising. Okay? The average doctor's like, you need to join the gym. And you're so fat and you're so inflamed, you're like, dude, I can barely walk from the couch to the bathroom to the kitchen. I don't feel like exercising. But when you implement and stick to steps 1 through 6, after a few weeks or a few months, guess what? You're going to feel like going outside and playing, which is what exercise is. Number 8, spend some time in the sun. Human beings evolved in the sun. Try to get 5 minutes of morning sun every single morning, even in the winter. Even if it's raining, go out on your balcony or your porch. Get that morning sunlight on your face. That will change so many things in your life, and it's totally free. Actually, everything I've talked about in this list is free. You don't have to spend a penny for any of this. You already eat food. Just spend the money you're spending on junk food. Spend it on real food. Stop buying fruit juices. Stop buying alcohol. Number 9, track your progress. The best way to track your progress of getting rid of visceral fat is to buy a tailor's tape and measure your belly. Measure it right around the fattest part of your belly before you start this. And then once a week, measure your belly again. There's also a metric that you can track called your waist to height ratio. So you just take the tailor's tape, measure your gut at the biggest point, and then you already know how tall you are, and you do the math on how, and there's YouTube videos that tell you how to figure waist to height. It's very easy. And track those two things. How big is my belly at the biggest part? And what is my waist to height ratio? Then number 10 is be patient and repeat. It's not going to, your visceral fat, it took you years or decades to get it. It's not going to go away in a few days or a few weeks. It's going to take a while, but I promise you, as a doctor with 22 years of clinical experience, who also used to have lots of visceral fat, these 10 steps are going to work for you, but you got to be patient and you got to just keep doing these same steps over and over and over. If you mess up, ignore it, act like it never happened, and get right back on this 10-step plan. And before you know it, your visceral fat will be so greatly reduced, your levels of inflammation will be so greatly reduced, that not only will you be able to start wearing those clothes at the back of your closet again. Remember those clothes that you're like, yeah, I'm not even going to try that, it's not going to fit? They'll start to fit again. You just save more money. You can wear your old clothes again. Your levels of inflammation are going to go down. You're going to feel so much better mentally and physically that you're going to feel like exercising. You're going to feel like maybe going out and hanging out with friends or family, whereas before all you wanted to do was lay on the couch and drink some fruit juice or drink some beer and watch a stupid show. I hope this video helped you. Please, if you know somebody who has lots of visceral fat, a big fat belly, please share this video with them, because this is the most dangerous fat that you can have on your body. And also, if you feel like, yeah, I like your 10 steps, but I don't think I can do this alone, we've got a great community that you can join. There's a link in the show notes that you can become a member of the Proper Human Diet Tribe, and you'll have thousands of people from all over the world to help you on this journey. This is Dr. Barry. See you next time.